Hey, how's it going, multifamily masters? It's Powell Chi here with this edition of what do you do once you got a deal under contract? And this week happens to be the series finale, because I'm no longer under contract on the deal. So we actually closed our deal that we had under contract. It closed on Wednesday, so just a few days ago. And so I'm just going to recap some of the things that we did, just kind of the final days right before you close, so that as you guys start to close more properties, you can find out what you're going to be doing for the last days. All right. But before I start, because this is the series finale, I wanted to say a few things. Wanted to see if you guys had any other suggestions for me, because since this is going to end, I don't know if you want me to recap things or if you want me to come back in a few months after it's taken over, do some updates. Give me some suggestions of what you'd like to see in the Facebook Lives. Or would you rather have me just do Q&A? Or just, or maybe wait till I get my next deal under contract and we can talk about the next time that I got a deal under contract. So give me some suggestions of what you would like to see. And since this series of of being under contract is basically finished already, okay? And if the series helped you out at all, if it kind of gave you some insight about anything as far as whether it's self-storage or just the idea of like getting some multifamily properties under contract, and it helped you out at all as far as navigating that process, throw up a like. Throw up a heart, throw up an angry face, throw up a whatever, give me some of those emojis and everything, okay? I appreciate it. So let's get started, and let me know where you're in from. So if you're here live with me, let me know where you're in from, because on here it doesn't really tell me where you're in from or anything like that. So appreciate you guys all stopping in. Say hello, say hi, Ravi. Appreciate you watching. Pareya, thank you for watching as well. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and get started with kind of the last week as we prepare for the close, and what you're going to be doing during the close, right? So last week, Sunday, we got information, which is the final. Well, it wasn't the actual final, but it was the updated prorations of the rents. Okay, so we have we basically paid for the service to. They look at all the rents and they figure out, okay, they were collecting rent. It was basically up till January 2nd at that particular point. And then up through January 2nd, it would tell us how much do we get as the buyer, how much does they get as the seller, and they have to prorate it according to how many days that we own the property for the month of January, right? So, it's only 2 days of collections, and January 1st being a holiday, it's not much collections, right? So January 2nd, there's just a few. But you need to know those prorations. So how much does the seller get? How much do we get as the buyer, right? So Sunday we received those information, and we had to review it. We had to approve it, and then Monday it went into the settlement statement with the title company. Okay, so if that makes sense to you, the title company then sends us a settlement statement on Monday. Our plan was to close on Wednesday, right? So they send us a settlement statement on Monday saying, okay, these are all the listed items that where is all the money going? Down payment, earnest money. There's who's paying for the title services, all kinds of different things, right? So it's all listed there in the settlement statement, and so the prorations have to go into there as well, right? So on Monday, looked it over, and you have to approve the new settlement statement. And this is so I found some mistakes in there because the prorations were not in there, and so ends up being that it was missing prorations and credits on our side, so we weren't getting some of the credits that we should have been getting, and that's for the security deposits as well as the rent that was collected. And so whenever you're coming close to closing on a property, hey, what's up, Frank? I can't. Sorry, I couldn't see you. I would have said hi earlier, buddy. What's up, Devin? I didn't see your guys' thing come in. So what's up, Anthony? Appreciate it. Thanks for showing up, guys. Joshua, good to see you guys. But so when you're at the end of you're getting that settlement statement, you need to make sure you go over all line item by line item to see where the money is going. Because if you're missing something, like we were missing the credits, we were missing about $3,000 that was going to be owed to us, you're going to end up paying $3,000 more, right? And this is probably the second time that I've closed a deal that I've seen mistakes on the settlement statement. And they all have to do with prorations of rent. So make sure you're aware of that. You're aware of like going over and looking at all those line items. Okay, so we did that on Monday. Let's see, on Monday we also received the rest of the closing documents. All right, so the rest of the closing documents and the instructions, so they're like the wiring, wiring instructions. We had some questions about the wires because we had all the money. So our private lender had already sent us the money to make to basically close the deal. And so the money was already in our bank account, and we were going to send the wire over. But we had to ask the title company, does it have to be 2 wires? Because some of the money is coming from our LLC that we own, right, our equity, and other part of the money is coming from the private lender. But since the private lender had already sent us the money, it was already there. It could have just came as one lump sum. So we have to ask the title company that type of thing. And I don't know if you'll ever encounter that, but in our case, the title company required us to send 2 wires. So 1 wire that is basically for the lending side, 1 wire that is for our equity side. Okay. Other things, so that was everything on Monday. Received all those documents. I would tell you, when it comes to like the last couple days of a close, I don't know if you guys have the same experience, but for me, it's always super hectic. It's always like, running around, you're waiting for these documents, they're waiting for this thing, and, everybody's waiting for all these things, and the emails are coming back and forth. You're getting like bombarded with like 15 emails. You have to check which one's the latest because all these things go back and forth with different people and have to approve this or don't approve or waiting for this. So it's all really hectic, and you have to be like watching your email all the time, right? So that's kind of what it was on Monday. Tuesday was a little bit of the same thing. At this point, really, we were sending the wires on Tuesday. Those went out, and then also the notarizing of the documents. So I was going to be the one signing the documents, and originally I was going to sign these documents at 5 p.m. Pacific because in the state of Louisiana, where we're purchasing this property, you need to have 2 witnesses when you do the notary. So I had to get one of my friends after work to come and to the bank with me and do the notary. Well, it turns out that the morning of, so Tuesday morning, the title company tells me, well, I basically told them, I said, hey, I'm going to do this at 5 o'clock Pacific, but it's not going to get to you on Wednesday because when we send it through FedEx, it's not going to meet the cutoff time. It's going to be too late, and it's not going to get sent out until Wednesday, and it won't get to you till Thursday. And so the morning of, they basically tell me, hey, that's not going to be good. You can't do that. You need to have it. We need to have these documents here on Wednesday. So Wednesday's the close. We need to have the documents here in our office on Wednesday. And while you're doing that, could you also scan the documents and send them to us, after you sign them? And I'm like, I don't have a scanner, so I got to take pictures of all these things. And I don't know. It all just kind of ends up being really hectic. So I had to ask another friend who would come during basically her lunch period and do all these document signings. It was all the morning of. Potentially, I was looking at getting a mobile notary to do it as well. So it's, again, a lot of hectic things going on the day or two before you close, right? So just so you know. So that's what was going on. I see a couple other people have joined in. So Chelsea, thanks for joining. Jeremy Underwood, thanks for joining. Derek Harper, thanks for joining. Let's see. And I've mentioned to you guys who are just joining right now, this is the season finale, or series finale of this. What do you do when you're under contract, right? So the deal has closed. So if you have any suggestions for future Facebook Lives, feel free to let me know, because right now I don't really have anything necessarily to talk about next time unless you want any updates of how the property is going. All right. So, okay. So moving on. So Wednesday, let's see, the end of Tuesday. So I got all those documents signed, got them all scanned, dropped them off at FedEx. got tracking number, sent over the scanned documents to the title company so that they see that it's all there, and they're just waiting on the originals, right? Then at this particular point, I'm updating the rest of the joint venture partners so that everybody in their joint venture knows what's going on, that, hey, the documents are signed and they're being scanned and sent over, and so everything's on track. The wires have been sent, should be received the next day, and we're basically on track. We're just kind of ready to go. So that was the end of Tuesday. Wednesday's closing day. So Wednesday closing day. So Frank, if you're still here, buddy, but you were out there for the close on site with Robert Benenate. He's our other JV partner that he was out there on site with Frank Guistiani. Both of them were there meeting our property manager on site. Property manager had a bunch of different tasks that they were going to be doing for the next couple days, but basically the day that we closed on the deal, property manager's on site that morning, 9 a.m. They're out there sweeping out units, cleaning up, making sure that everything is, prepared for anybody that we can move in ASAP, right? So they're out there. They got a bunch of different tasks that they were doing. Let me see some of the things they were doing. They were doing audits on the units, right? So they're auditing kind of the units, which ones are supposed to be rented, which ones are not, who's paid what, who have we collected from. Like I mentioned, sweeping out the units, interviewing with the maintenance side. Okay, so we have we employ we have a 1099 maintenance person that is basically our sort of boots on the ground there, and they're going to be doing a lot of the things that we need on the maintenance side. They're going to be visiting the property every week. They're going to be cutting locks. They're going to be cleaning out units and putting a new lock on there. So they were out there. Our property manager was out there interviewing a few of the maintenance people to find out who we were going to end up hiring. So they were doing the hiring process and training process while they were out there as well. Okay. So obviously that's super important. Just like you're talking about, Frank, right? Signage, right? That's another thing that the whole team was out there doing. So we had some signage already made, temporary signage that we were basically hanging on the fences. And so they were already made, and they were out there hanging those signage, which was, perfect for us. So, we're taking over, rebranding everything, taking down the old signage, putting up our new stuff, most of our temporary signage before we start to implement and put up some more permanent type of signage. Let's see, utilities and things like that. So with the transition, there's a lot of utility takeovers. We're doing a lot of the utility side of it. Evaluating extra space, right? So getting a chance to look at, like, now that we have the property, we have some extra space around the property. No, it's not a ton, right? We're not thinking it's like a ton of extra space, but there's little pockets here and there that we do have some good space, and we're trying to figure out what can we do with that extra space, right? Like, do we turn it into a parking spot? Do we turn it into an office? Do we extend the fence here or there? Those are all some of the things that we're thinking of. Just additional ways to bring in income, right? I mean, that's kind of what we're thinking is, like, what other ways can we bring in income, right? So this is all going on Wednesday. Let me see. Wednesday, what else do we do? Okay, so we're notifying all the current tenants, right? All the current renters there, notifying all of them that we're the new property manager. We have the new ownership, new property manager. There's a new payment process, things like that. So we're contacting all of them. So that's all done, a lot through letters, a lot through text messages, phone calls, just getting everybody transitioned, right? A couple of the other things we did. So, and I would tell you guys this, as far as it will help you when you are taking over property and things. A couple of things that we could have done a little earlier is like ordering debit cards. So we had we take over the property, but previously, obviously, we had already created our LLC, and we wired the money to the LLC so that we have a certain, we have a bank account. But I didn't think about getting a debit card before that. So that Wednesday, I was out there getting a debit card because I realized we got to start paying some vendors some things, right? And we don't really have checks yet, so we have to. Now we have to wait until we get a debit card. So it's just going to take a couple days. So you don't really want to do that. So I would suggest next time going into it that we get the debit card ordered right away once you get the bank account going. And also like DBA, it's a good idea to get your doing business as your DBA, whatever your so that when people are paying your storage company, it's it's DBA to whatever your LLC is, right? Whatever your bank account is, so that way you can deposit those checks, because it might not be the exact name of your LLC is it may not be the name of your actual facility, right? So you want to make sure you get the DBA and all that stuff done before. So I would say that we should have, but it's kind of a learning experience. It doesn't kill you; it just kind of delays things a little bit. All right. Hey Clayton, thanks for joining. Appreciate you coming on here. Let's see. A couple other things that we did on Wednesday and Thursday. Let's see. So Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, we reviewed the final prorations, right? The final prorations of the takeover. So previously I'd gotten the prorations, which was up till January 2nd, which was the end of Saturday, right? So we had the seller was also collecting money on Sunday. They're collecting money. They're collecting rents on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But up to Tuesday. We were collecting on Wednesday. So they were collecting Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and of those rents, we also should be receiving a portion of our. We get our portion, right? Because we own. The tenants pay for a full month, but we own 26 days. The seller owns 5 days, right? So you prorate it according to how many days that you were going to own it for. So since they were collecting some rent during those 3 days, we got our final prorations on Wednesday. I reviewed them and approved them, and because we'd already closed the property, you have to arrange with the seller that they will send you a check. Basically, it's going to be done outside of closing, right? So the title company is not going to take care of that. You have to make sure that it gets done. And so you just want to make sure you work with the seller, you have a good relationship with them, and or you have your broker who will, kind of be their intermediary for that. All right. Okay, very cool. So let's see what else we do. Wednesday, another weird thing, not that it's necessary, but we do like our social media posts as well too, right? So we close the property, right? Everybody's really excited. We want to let our team know we closed the property. Go ahead and post everything on social media that you want to. And so that's a good time to just kind of drive up some excitement and feel good about it. So like a lot of our posts, probably a number of you saw them from a lot of our JV partners or me or anybody else. A lot of the things going on Wednesday, just to say we closed the property, right? Okay. Thursday, let's see. Thursday, I reached out. So now we have the property, it's all closed and everything. We just want to make sure that the seller had a few units that he might have had some other possessions in those units. So I just wanted to give him some time to you should have, basically you should have had your stuff out by then. But if you didn't, and you need some time, I just said, hey, let me know by Thursday or Friday. So let me know within these 2 days if you need extra time, because I know you have a maintenance guy and your maintenance guy had some stuff there. We don't really just want to throw his stuff out. We want to make it a good transaction here. So, that's what we did. Just gave him a little 2 days. He didn't come back to me. He said, seems like everything was out. So at this point, if it's out, great. If not, it seems like at this point we'll just kind of take it over or go through the process with it. Right? So that all said, that's pretty much what went on this week for the property that we closed, and which is what this whole series was about, right? So I am working on another property, working on another one to try to get that one, and I've kind of mentioned that to you, I guess to my audience here, that we're working on this other property, but that's kind of a separate thing. We don't have it under contract yet. We're fairly close right now. We're actually in the process of reviewing the purchase and sale agreement. So we've been reviewing the purchase and sale agreement that we received from them. We sent them one first. They sent the edits back, and we're reviewing it now because it's a ton of different edits. And so right now we're in that sort of limbo phase right now. But we just received that, so we're working on that right now. Okay. And I know for a lot of you, I like to say this too. It's like, if you're pretty close on a deal, and sometimes deals don't actually close, and so if you're pretty close on a deal and it went to somebody else and it doesn't close, you should always try to follow up with them. And I followed up with a multifamily deal that I was really close to last year, and I followed up with that seller just on Friday, and it's been a year, so I haven't talked to them in about a year, and so they had to go through COVID and all kinds of crazy stuff, right? But it turns out that they might be interested in selling at this point, so I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but that's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to like pick something up after a year, and potentially it might happen again. So, so that all said, that's pretty much what the end of this series. So if you have, if you could, like, since you're here, just let me know what you'd like to see. If you'd like to see any more Facebook Lives, I don't really have any agenda for next week or anything to push out specifically. So I didn't, this is the end of the series, right? So if you do want more Facebook Lives and you do want to see something specific, whether that's on storage or whether that's on multifamily or whether that's on what's your, specific part of it, let me know. Give me a suggestion. I'd love to hear it, right? And, I could do things like bring people on camera. So if people want to be on camera with me, we could do that. I could do Q&A. So like if you want to do Q&A a little bit, we could definitely do that. Or let me see. You know what? For those of you who are here and you're watching it, what would be a good thing is I said to people, like, if you could write in here what you would suggest that we do when we celebrate. So when you celebrate a win, like a close on a property, I always think, previously I was not really into like celebrating the win or, doing something fun, but I do think it's kind of important. And I do think it's kind of fun just to, take some time to celebrate a win. So if you have any suggestions of what you did or what you've done on a nice win and a way to celebrate, put them in the chat. Write them in the chat so I can do it, so we can see what would be a good way to celebrate, right? I'll tell you this. The last time I closed on a pretty decent deal, it was a pretty decent sized deal, multifamily syndication. Felt really good about it. What I did is I bought a electric skateboard, right? So it was one thing I wanted. I was like, I've always wanted an electric skateboard. So maybe one of these days I'll get some video of me on my electric skateboard riding around. So I use it to go back and forth on the beach, and it's my transportation while I go and play beach volleyball. So I love that thing. I have a great time with it every weekend. So looking for what should I do now? What would you suggest for a way to celebrate, right? So we do have some questions. Hey, I also want to say hi to Lisa. Thank you for joining. Keith Trust, let's see. Is underwriting different for storage? How about lending? Any difference between multifamily? Sure. So, yes, great questions, Keith. We'll start with the underwriting. So, yes, the underwriting is a little different with storage than multifamily, right? And it's not so different that you've like if you are good at underwriting multifamily, you could pick up how to do storage. You just got to get used to a couple different things, right? There's a few other things that you need to look for, but there's also less of some things that you look for. So let me give you an example. When you're underwriting storage, the micro market is super important, right? So like you're looking at your market and you're looking at in general what the market looks like, right? But you're looking really a lot more specifically of what does this micro market look like? What does the 5-mile radius in the competition level look like for my storage unit? What does the 3-mile radius in the competition level look like for my storage? Because competition can kind of really kill your storage. That's the real major threat in storage. It's not really COVID. It's not really, it's not really like, similar things that are in multifamily, right? It's more of like the big threat is if you have a lot of competition in your location, in your 5 mile or 3 mile radius, right? So you can say, hey, I got a great deal. It's Dallas, or it's in some great hot city, and it's amazing, and it looks like it's a good price. But truthfully, if there's a ton of competition right there, it may not be that great of a deal, right? Whereas in multifamily, you're usually not affected by that so much. So just a good number for you. In general, you want to say 7.5 square feet, rentable square feet per person in your 3 mile or 5 mile radius is what you're looking for. Something under that. If it's under that, it means your area is undersupplied. If it's over that number, so it's like 11, 12, 14. I just looked at one like San Antonio yesterday, and it was like 18 in a 3 mile radius. 18, it just means that there's too much competition in that place. Okay, so hopefully that answers that about underwriting. Your other question about lending differences in multifamily. Yes, that is probably one of the biggest things that I've found that is the difference between multifamily and storage, is that the lending side is a lot more scattered in storage. Lending in multifamily tends to be pretty straightforward, at least in my experiences, especially when you get above $1 million loan amount. It's like there are Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, there are CMBS, and there's a couple things that you can do with multifamily. And you know what their requirements are. This is the requirement. You got to have 10% of the loan amount needs to be liquid. You need to have net worth equal to the loan amount. You need to have some experience on your team as well, right? But in storage, I've just found it to be sort of all over the place. There's sort of a lot more options. Sometimes your purchase price is under $1 million, and then you're talking with banks and SBA is in there, and a lot of recourse versus not recourse. I don't know. To me, it's a lot more scattered. It's a lot more hoops to jump through. You have to figure out, because you may be working with local banks. Local banks are all, they can determine what they want as far as the requirements are, right? So it can be all over the place. And we're still learning a lot of that too as well. All right. So I didn't really give you any specifics about like how it's, I guess, different, but I just want you to know it is different. It is different, and especially if you're under that $1 million mark. Okay. If you had any follow-up questions, Keith, just feel free to follow up with any questions there. Jason Brian Escobedo. Let's see your question here. Sorry, I'm driving here. Definitely multifamily. Looking for first syndication here in San Antonio. Okay, so cool. That's awesome. San Antonio is a great market. I have part of a general partnership on a property in San Antonio as well. It's a great market. So, yeah, you got any questions about that, about multifamily there, or anything that pops up in your mind, feel free to let me know. But otherwise, if there's any way that I can help you out, or if any questions pop up, or last thing I would say is that people have been asking me this because how we structure the deals, right? Because I don't really do syndications right now. At least right now, it's not really what I'm doing. I'm doing joint ventures, right? So I'm finding a small group of people, and we go out and we purchase generally a smaller property, right? So they're not huge properties. So we're looking at somewhere in the $2 to $3 million range type of properties. But like the one I'm looking at right now that we're close on, it's a $2.7 million property, but it's 360 units. It's like 43,000 square feet. So it's a decent size actually for that price. So I go out, I grab several JV partners, right? And then all of us get actively involved with everything from the very beginning. So people get involved with what's going on as we do the early negotiations, as well as the early due diligence. You're going to fly out there with me when we go out there and look at the property. And then, they're involved in helping us out with curing some of the due diligence, right? Doing some of the financial due diligence, as well as physically either talking with the local government, helping with utilities, quotes for insurance, all different types of things that we need to get done. So all of our JV partners are actively helping out. So that way they can get some experience, because they might want to do this on their own someday, right? So this is a great opportunity for them to do that. And then as we take over the property, they get all the contacts of everybody that we're working with, our third-party property management. They know who we're working with. They know what management software we're using. They just become very familiar with the whole property and the whole process, right? And that's what I like to do with people, because I like to bring people along, invest all together, right? And do not just do it by myself. So that all said, if you're interested in being part of my being on my JV team, just send me a direct message. So if you're interested, joint venture teams, send me a direct message. I'll send you to what is my questionnaire, and you can just fill out a questionnaire, and then we can go from there. Because generally what I do is I reach out to the people that I know are very, very interested, and like I said, I don't need that many people to come with me, and hopefully it all works out, because when I look at my network tends to be people that are actively involved in real estate, that are want to be involved. They love real estate. And second is that they probably have some capital that they've saved up. And then third is that they want to be actively involved and gain experience, right? They don't really want to be just purely passive, right? And they want to see a lot of the transparency and what goes on with the properties as we go from very beginning to the end, right? Or the whole way through. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Hey, Mark Spielman, good to see you here, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while, but hope you're doing well. So that all said, that's the end. Appreciate you guys all sticking around with me. And if you have any questions, feel free to follow up. We'll talk soon. All right. Thanks. Bye.